jumping over with Mike McShane here. And so without further ado, I want to bring back to the show a long-time in-studio guest, traveling all over the world with us to bring all the entertainment, and really one of the more courageous patients who has been very candid and open with the miracles of cannabis. And I want to welcome back to the show the one and only Red Dog Michael McShane. Woo!
Thanks,
Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, guys.
Warrior.
Are you with me?
We are.
Can you hear me?
We can. So even though the segment is, this is a segment I think that we lose sight of sometimes. I always enjoyed it when we had a regular report on any, whether it was from you, with your own personal journey or other patients that you were interacting with. But, the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act is, as I say to people, there's two basic pillars. It's about patients, sick people, and the doctors as the gatekeeper from a legal perspective. And it's always good to hear from patients who are getting the benefits of medical cannabis. So, Michael, tell those that haven't heard from you before about your background and interactions with cannabis and why you're such an advocate for its uses.
Yeah. Well, I successfully used the marijuana oil, Simpson oil, to treat cancer, and it, worked great. I just thought it was the best thing ever, and after everything I've been through with cancer, with all the doctors and stuff, it's just such a simple approach, and being all natural without surgery and radiation and all the pills and whatever they might, whatever protocol they may dictate. Just plain simple, and I guess if there's a way of making cancer fun, that would be it.
And just to kind of explain a little more detail, because we've discussed it, you'd had some squamous cells in your face, and it had treated in the past with surgery, where they'd removed by surgery, scalpel, and your use of the oil in the same types of squamous cells without any surgery produced the actual removal of and retracting of those cells that no longer exist in the area that they once were, without any kind of surgery. Is that right?
That's correct. And, how can you beat that? The surgery is going to leave a mark. We know that. And as far as scarring and the recovery from the surgery is, depends on, what level you're at. But it can be very bad. And, with the oil, it just goes away like it shows up. It's just one cell by a time and at a time. And, eventually the tumor is gone. So it's just the reverse of the appearance of it. It disappears. And it's pretty amazing. It's really it's quite a journey. I did it actually twice because I had, the oil's hard to get, and, the lawmakers aren't making this any easier on us. Everywhere we go, we're on a slippery slope. All I heard, the last caller was just, negotiating. It sounded like, giving away everything we had. We didn't pick up anything. So it's tough to get, and with that said,
let me ask you this, John.
People call, and they're looking for the oil, and so I kind of got off track, and I wasn't taking it myself as much as I should, because a maintenance dose is, really what you need to do, and to maintain that CBD level for the endocannabinoid system. And so I fell off the bandwagon. I wasn't taking it regularly. The cancer came back, and matter of fact, it came back in a different spot too. And I've been back on the oil, and everything works good on the cancer. It's just amazing. Simple.
Being someone that's been actively involved in both being a patient and interacting with other patients, and really being having your pulse on activity and a perspective on this. Do you think that as we, like this moment in time right now, today's what, April 14th or 17th, 2014, we've experienced a bunch of, roller coasters. You've interacted with, seriously ill, patients that are, end of life, and I know you're involved with the, Cannabis Cancer Project, and just the people that you've interacted with. Do you think that the state of Michigan is, as we stand here right now with what's on the horizon of dispensaries, are we at a good place right now or not?
I don't think we've ever been in a good place with the state of Michigan at all. Period. And I see this law going backwards if we don't get it flat out legalized. It's over. It won't.
Of course, you refer to things that you might suggest are like ridiculous nuances that the state police want to create and or have so they can enforce the law. What does that mean? Why are they so interested in enforcing a law that's being created for the purposes of protecting people? What do you need to? I get what you're saying. I know that's your argument, and and the argument sometimes is like, once you begin some kind of regulation, you open the door to all this other, inspections and, and all of a sudden.
Look at all the changes that have already been made with the lock boxes and just all the nuances that just trap people. But you know what? That's for other folks. You're a lawyer, and there's some great people working on this, and I really appreciate it. But, I'm just not politically charged. I get people out of jail. I make oil for people. I make oil for me. I haven't taken any pharmaceutical medication in 2.5 years, and I got AIDS. So, the law is the law, and it's not going to change my attitude any in regards to taking care of my health. No change in the law will change my course of action. That's just as simple as that. It's the best thing for me, and I think that there's a federal law that supports that supports the fact that you found something that works. I'm the guy that got through. Let them go. Simple as that.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm going to tie it all in, and this is so relevant. But in terms of the future, and I think your argument that you're making is, it's so ridiculous, some of the things that are happening for medical marijuana patients that, unequivocally you have to legalize just to stop the ridiculous shenanigans and minutiae at a cellular level by which people are going to be judged or evaluated. I get that. But as we get to the, future, looking forward, and you've got your magic wand, we're going to legalize. Are you talking about a descheduling and legalization? Are you talking about rescheduling, I should say, rescheduling to a 2, 3, or 4? Are you talking about a tax and regulated system? Are you talking about a kind of a nutrient supplement health, regulated type of thing that could be sold at health stores? Or, as I put on the for the debate, a potato that you can grow in your garden, or a tomato, and do with it as you want, as every tomato grower may do. What do you think? Which one are you going with?
Well, my best case scenario is a law like Colorado with a medical marijuana component that would provide medication tax-free. In other words, not at dispensary prices. And everybody else over 21 years old should be able to choose marijuana over booze. It's really that simple. I live in Ferndale, Michigan, and we compete with Royal Oak for the capital of booze in Oakland County. They're out there power washing the cement every weekend, every morning, with these idiots leaving the bars and wrecking their cars and who knows what. Every story you hear on the news on Monday is booze related. The Ferndale police cite 80% of their time is spent with booze. So my best case scenario is treat it like alcohol. It is like alcohol. In some regards, it replaces it. That's the best thing about it. And, tax-free for the sick, because nobody can afford $60 an eighth for marijuana. And no marijuana is worth it.
What I was going to say is that you said a system like Colorado where, the part that's not taxed and stuff, that almost sounded like the Michigan medical marijuana caregiver system, right? In a certain way. But beyond that,
all these provisions and all these laws, you know what? They don't even use a key anymore. They just come right through your door. They don't bring a warrant. They don't even come from the same county. If they know you got weed, they're coming for you. It's just crazy. So it's got to stop. And to that point, these raids, how fast can you flush a marijuana plant down the toilet? What would mandate the kind of force that these guys are coming in with? Somebody's going to get killed, and it might be one of them, but it's very violent, and that's got to end. It does not match marijuana. None of the activities that the lawmakers are engaging in matches the activity that the people are in. It's just unbalanced. So, that's just got to come to terms. And bringing 5 machine guns into somebody's house for a marijuana plant, it just doesn't make sense.
And for those that don't know, and we were over went to the special time frame here, but Michael, of course, had a very unfortunate incident that we're still trying to ferret out, but we believe there will be answers given at some point. But we're just invaded by the city of Detroit in a that would seem to be a anti-marijuana strong arm, and it's an event in and of itself could create the numerous number of conditions. Just the shock and awe of it. And I hear those stories from clients who, for the first time, have experienced the government at its most forceful. And Mike, of course, speaks violent, illogical. I say that for someone to want to do that and enjoy that, they have to have some very twisted vehicles. But listen, Doug McVay was on earlier, and I wanted to return to that and get all the others in the studio here for our final close down and joining the debate, Eric and Rick and Jamie with Red Dog here. But I thought it was interesting. His position was in arguing for reform of marijuana legalization. You advocate for more strict alcohol laws. You don't become like a party person that's expand it or make it just like alcohol. You say we want marijuana is clearly not as dangerous. Look at the way it's alcohol is being advertised. It's got to stop. The problems of alcohol are because it's being glamorized. People are being brainwashed with it. We've got to eliminate it from the concept that every single event, someone's got to have a drink. Want to get a drink? And it's just the wrong way to think. And the point you make is, points out all the keep it that, sure, drop the level to 0.5, I guess, but, and if you got to do that to, for alcohol, I'm talking about, to let it be on marijuana, fine, you'll see a drastic change. One of the reasons that people don't smoke cigarettes as much anymore wasn't because they legalized, it's just they learned, honestly, and they changed their social perspective. The view of alcohol, generally speaking, has changed. We recognize problems versus the acceptance and glamorization, as the other caller was saying about, the drunk is like the hero that's glamorized. That's been a image of a time in the past. But that's changed because of knowledge and, real understanding of the human, the health systems and whatnot. Eric, what do you have to say? Is that, Eric, if you're listening?
Well, we live in an imperfect society, and certainly I think this idea goes back to the concept of the bar, and or local tavern and so forth. Before there was automobiles, so we created this technology of an automobile, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now we've got a problem with drinking and driving, and I think that we need to kind of adopt our communities to be more oriented toward having a local drinking watering hole, if you will, at a local community where you don't have to walk, where you can walk or ride a bike, or just, well, you know, I don't know if riding a bike's, you know, impaired, but in my opinion, I just think that we need a way of creating a social environment for our communities that involves the least amount of risk. You could even have laws which have taxi driving, you know, implemented at a bar. I'm just saying that's far off in the future.
Rick?
You know, I'm all for keeping people who are dangerous to society away from society to a certain degree. But what I see is, for example, today's roadside saliva testing, this is all part of a larger scheme in which the average person, the average Joe, the Mike McShanes, the Rick Thompsons of the world, where we get taken advantage of by a system. The system says that even if you're not impaired, even if you haven't done anything wrong, we're going to hit you with a mouth swab, and then you're going to be subject to our courts, and then they're going to send you into a drug treatment program, and then they're going to send you through the probation system, all of which milks you for your available money. Now that money doesn't go to the grocery store anymore, and it doesn't go to pay your mortgage, and it doesn't to put new clothes on your kid's back. It's part of a larger problem that we have here, using legislation and our own established democracy to pass laws that benefit the few but make the many pay into it. It's inappropriate, and mandatory drug treatment programs are a bad thing. And I fear that these mouth swabs will lead to a greater enrollment in those, and that benefits the people that run those things, which we oftentimes know are the judges and those people. So,
just another way of farming the medical marijuana community and others for, you know, revenue for the state.
Yep, exactly. And when you're looking at rules being passed that affect every single Michigander, like these saliva tests, it's not about medical marijuana. It's about everybody that uses. So,
yeah,
and that's what.
And it's constitutionally unsound, and it needs to be done away with.
You know, when you get a chance, anybody that's listening on Planet Green Trees, watch the video of the testimony that happened today, and there were some good exchanges between those of us that testified and the committee members.
Well, especially you, Rick. Especially the committee chairman, Kevin Cotter, actually sort of verbally jousted you a little bit today. But the debate was good. It led to opening up some other details, didn't it, Rick? I think there was
the other House reps jumped into the debate and asked some additional telling questions. That's why I think that we were very confident that saliva was going to be removed from the bill at the end of the meeting, as Robin mentioned, that she'd heard from the representative, simply because the testimony was powerful.
Can you explain the jousting a little bit more?
Well, all right. I said that I wasn't going to reproduce some of the information that other people had said about the marijuana and driving, and how you can certainly still drive fine on medical marijuana, and instead I focused on the legitimacy of the tests themselves, and I said they're not federally approved for employment testing, they're not federally approved for drug testing, the technology is inaccurate and incorrect. Some points also that Jeff Irwin had made previously during questioning of the Michigan State Police Sergeant that was there. And at the end of it, Representative Cotter asked a couple of questions. He'd taken issue with the characterization of the bill. And as we talked about it, I think he came to the realization that it really was a little bit more broad than he had thought it was. Ellen Kogan-Lipton asked questions about the nature of the bill itself, too. As it was mentioned previously, it was based on a case where a woman had killed two people while she was operating a vehicle on Soma. When we pointed out that the proposed testing wouldn't have caught this person and would in fact have yielded a false negative, telling the officer at the roadside that she was not impaired because those tests don't detect Soma, then the saliva testing lost credibility because the instant case that they cited was no longer have been affected. And she said that the main issue that they'd had was 7 reports of impaired driving on this woman existed before she killed those 2 people, but because those 7 reports of impaired driving had drug tests that were still pending at the state lab, she was still out driving because the lab was so backed up. So the thought was they would allow the officers to enter pending test results, a pending positive, in other words, into lien, so that any other officer that stopped this person would know that she's a potential bad driver and should get some additional scrutiny. And so they wanted to keep that portion of the bill and then eliminate the saliva test, and that's where we thought we were at the end of the day.
Rick, I thought your testimony was well done. I thought you were very articulate today, very just calm, cool, and collective, and I think that your message very clearly got across. I thought it was overall a well discussion. I think we all represented well, but got to hand it to you. I think you did really well today, Rick.
Well, thanks. And again, I hope everybody gets a chance to watch the video, just to hear some of the evolution of thought, especially on Representative Lipton. She asked a couple questions about being able to still utilize the lien system even if we didn't have the saliva test. And I said that's absolutely technology that they can use and they can do. So they're being able to solve the problem with 7 drivings that were impaired that wasn't being able to be mounted in the lien system would be able to be rectified without saliva testing. All of those things they claimed that they wanted to resolve did not revolve around the saliva. So it was good.
I can't help but to be honest and say that this discussion about what they're going to do with the law and the blood testing and where this is just punishing. It's just such an infringement on...
To put roadside drug tests into lien.
God.
Well, one of the things...
they already do it for the... I'm sorry, Eric, I apologize. But the point that the Michigan State police officer made is that this is already done, and if you have a PBT test for... No.
Not a PBT test.
I apologize. What is it? The
yeah,
master.
But that's after there's been probable cause to arrest an individual. That's based upon, established, although I disagree with field sobriety testing, PBT testing, totality of the circumstances, 15-minute observation period, and a breath test on a machine that has an error rate and a percentage of error and must be calibrated. And,
I wish you'd have been there today to dispute that, because he certainly made it seem like this was totally equitable with what existing policy is. I bought it. He sold me on that one.
In a general sense, you know what I'm saying? Like the details of how you get there. Because, yes, what happens is if someone has been arrested and charged, they do enter into lien. And they take their license and they destroy it. And they give you a temporary license anyway. So then you don't have a license. I mean, it's like, it's that process. That's what they're going to be talking about.
It's a defeating due process. I mean, it's like you're saying the officer pulls you over, runs your license plate, and all of a sudden he thinks you're guilty.
You know what's not due process? Because you do not have a constitutional right for driver's license. It is a administrative privilege that they can make whatever rules they want to for you to maintain it or keep it, which is ridiculous. And I didn't mean to cut you off, Eric, but you know what I'm saying? That's the general issue on that. I still think that it's like, I don't know how we got to saliva testing to like per se numbers.
Oh, holy shit! That.
But even the whole idea that they're discussing this stuff. I mean, it's just more laws.
Right.
More
it shouldn't even be on the table.
More ways to put people in jeopardy.
Yeah, I mentioned.
Why have it when the general public isn't able to get this marijuana? Why have it when you're only discriminating on medical people? Why have it now? Push it back.
This is law enforcement's wet dream. They have such a Republican-dominated House and a Republican-dominated Senate, so they can get them to sponsor anything they damn well want.
But my point is, like, I think we would all agree that, those that are old enough, that there was a way in which the culture that we live in viewed alcohol, and there's been a drastic change in which, how it's, viewed and what's heroic, or at least more information about the damage that it does. It's clearly much more in that conversation. And, we all know and have seen the crazy videos of someone being drunk and acting like an idiot. I mean, I've got all kinds of, alcohol-related driving offenses, in-car videos where, it's going to be very damaging. But you would think that over the years, where all this, this, you can go anywhere and probably say, these are the worst, fails of drunk driving, police in-car videos, and they're not funny, they're sad, but they're reflective and indicative of somebody who is intoxicated, and because of the alcohol and the intoxication caused by the alcohol, has lost their capacity. They've lost their facilities to be able to function. Their central nervous system is being dramatically affected by, alcohol, and they're unable to function. They lose balance and motor coordination. And you would think that you can all envision what these things are. Does anyone come to mind in the history of all the YouTube or Facebook, clicking and, opposing views or whatever it is that takes you wherever you go? Has anyone ever, seen a video where there's somebody actually acting anywhere near that impaired, a fool, after smoking?
No.
Not when only marijuana is involved.
Not even on a 6-foot bong rip.
Right.
Right. Ricky from
No, I've seen some people fall out. Let's face it. We all know that you can be over medicated. I've seen some people pass out after doing too big of a hash hit. You can.
Yeah, but they're not doing that while they're driving the vehicle.
Absolutely right. It's a momentary thing, and it happens on an immediate basis. Remember that spike that we talked about earlier that Michael made so much of a point about earlier? This is where that factors in. You have an immediate rush of that, and then it fades quickly. And therefore, that's why oftentimes we smoke joint after joint, because the spike goes up, the spike goes down, the spike goes up, the spike goes down. It doesn't affect you when you're driving because you've given yourself a reasonable amount of time between inhalations and driving in order for that to take place. And you know how long that is because you're the master of your own body. You know what you do.
You get used to it. You get 2 grams of oil in your system and be fine if you're used to it. So.
Well, no. I think that the level
5 nanogram limit will not accommodate.
Yeah,
that.
and the levels by which are entered into the system at the concentrates are at a much, much higher level. And it makes the point, of course,
right,
that each patient, the tolerance level, it's such a different variable, such a different variable. Sure, there are people that can control their alcohol. There's people that blow .27s, they can, dance and sing and jump around and, walk. People that are falling down drunk, and likewise there's tolerance levels, but it's individualized. And there's a number of different factors that go into it. Clearly, we're not at a point yet where we were able to articulate. I mean, that's the idea that we're talking about a per se number. When our Supreme Court has already said the only fair thing to do in these situations for real safety purposes is let it be a factual determination. They think they got probable cause, let them lay it out there and let them litigate it, But let them prove it, because I've yet to see it. And I'm wondering why we're even discussing it when. Was there a video or was there a recording? Was there something terrible that happened that made the lawmakers sit down and write this law? Somebody help me, Jamie.
The law that we're talking about today, certainly there was a predicating incident where a woman killed 2 people, the one in Soma. So it's single incidents like that.
Not marijuana, though.
Not marijuana at all, no. And again, they want to catch all Schedule 1, and they amended the bill during debate today to include not just Schedule 1 drugs, but also all Schedule 2 drugs as well.
We need descheduling.
Yep. So even deschedule to Schedule 2 to still catch that. We just need to remove the per se.
Final thoughts. Let's got to wrap it up. It's over. Come on, wrap it up.
J-Dog.
Jamie, come on, final thoughts.
We will discuss more in depthly the situation on the west side of the state, the federal case with like 30-plus people, the medical marijuana team with John Targowski and possibly Daniel Groh, who are lawyers representing defendants in that case.
This Saturday, if you don't mind me jumping right in, we've got a meeting at the Capital City Caregivers, Capital City Compassion Club, which meets at Think Live Music. Get started, I think, about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Jamie will be speaking, and so will I. I know that Alter Green is having an event at their facility on 8 Mile Road in Livonia on that day also. There are many 420-related events going on around the globe here, including there's a 419 and a half party at the Clio Roadhouse. That's right in Eric's wheelhouse right there. Not that far, the Clio Roadhouse.
Yeah, the Clio Roadhouse.
That's right. So 419 and a half party on Saturday as well. There are different events going on all around. And, of course, best way to keep track of those is to take a look at the Facebook events pages or Compassion Chronicles or the MMA website. And, Eric, final thoughts?
The Genesee County Compassion Club has an event going on Saturday as well, 420 event. They have every year. Other than that, I thought today's testimony went well, and other than that, good talk on the show. Good stuff.
Look straight.
Alrighty then. Chad?
That's it for me. I have no more words.
All right. Wrap it up. Everyone be safe, and we will be back next week. You're certainly going to be doing show 200. Rick Thompson will be producing that.
Oh, 200. As though you might be thinking, gee,
that's it.
Check my enthusiasm.
See you guys.
Take care, Mike. Thanks.
Shane, take care.